All right. One second, guys, and we'll get the show on the road. All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is time. We are live. Guys, got any questions? Just put it in the chat. We'll get them answered. We're going to get this show on the road. I'm going to go to the monthly time frame, show you something interesting on the monthly. All right, guys. Everybody see my screen okay? Let me just, I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff here and start over. All right, so what we have here is we are coming into the end of July. We're coming into August. And August is an interesting month historically. And I'm going to show you why. Before I had the trend lines drawn like this, where we broke out of this downward trending apex, depending on where you draw these, depending on where you draw the flag. And let's just say that this is a giant bull flag here, going all the way back to somewhere in here. One of these breakouts, I would say it was probably right here at the 112 level, because that is where we came up and retested this first before we broke out. right here, which was the previous resistance level for a while before we broke out and pumped all the way up to where we're at right now. So let's just say that that is the flag, the current flag. This this could be off. I put this to where we broke out of this downward trending flag to the upside and have been retesting on top. That is also potentially accurate, but also if you just go straight across and touch all of these tops here, except for this one, and then you align this differently where you're up a little higher, except for this one, get rid of that. There's a couple ways to look at this, and maybe we're not. Maybe we didn't break out yet of the flag, but it's okay because there's something else happening here. We have, this could also be at the bottom. I'm going to say that this is at the top because we came up and hit resistance. Resistance broke through and even held as support right here. So we have resistance, breakout, support, breakthrough, resistance, resistance, support, 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 breakthrough, resistance, resistance, break back above, a little bit of resistance and support here before climbing up to the top. So this looks pretty accurate to me either way. So let's just take this and bring it down to there. And let's just say that's the flag. Either way, still pretty accurate because you could also do a range. You could also do a parallel type of situation where we're both coming down like this and also there's a couple ways you could do it, but what is kind of important, I don't even care, I'm not going to confuse you guys with all that. So what is kind of important though is that we are coming into August, and also in this bull flag, as I've mentioned before, that a lot of times whenever we are in a bull flag, right before a breakout, we generally come down halfway. This was back when we were at 112. We kind of did the same thing. Looks very similar to me. We came up and hit resistance. Resistance broke through, retested, hit the top, hit the bottom, hit the top, hit the bottom, top, bottom, and then hit the top, and came down halfway. Whenever we generally right before there is a breakout, there's usually a midpoint where we come down, support, support, resistance, 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 support. So it hits the top and comes down halfway before breaking out. I can show you many examples of that. Let's go back to the last one before that. This was back here when we came up to here's one before that. When we came up to 73, had a nice big bull flag here. Trended down for about 8 months before we finally broke out to the upside. And this last one, when it hit the top, it came down halfway before breaking out. Where there was resistance, 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 some resistance and support up here, resistance here. So there is a halfway point in most of these bull flags. Even falling wedges can have them, depending on where you put the falling wedge. This one came down to the bottom before breaking out. But if I were to I were to put this as a channel dropping down to the bottom. Where we hit the bottom and the top and hit the bottom and the top. This one came halfway down the middle before finally breaking out. It just all depends on how you slice it. So what we have here, that was the one, the earlier one, we came up to 112, did the same thing, up, bottom, top, top, bottom, top, halfway down, breakout. And here we are right now. Very similarly, we are doing something that looks very eerily similar to the last couple of times. Let me go to a lower time frame so far. Now, it doesn't mean it can't still come to the bottom. Maybe this isn't the time that it breaks out, but right now we are touching that halfway point where we had resistance, 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 support, 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 resistance, breakout, support, support. And we are going into August. Now, the reason why I say that this might be the time is because August is kind of a crucial moment. And let's just look at where we could break out. I think I told you guys this the other day, which was 128. In fact, if we go to if we go to my signal channel, I think I put a TP on Bitcoin at 128 a few days ago for that same reason. So that would be the next resistance level, in my opinion. And that's where this flag would bring us to. Now, August, if we look at the monthly time frame, generally breakouts are happening every bull market right in August. Kind of weird, like this candle right here is August. Right after August, we broke to the upside. And then last year, right here was August. After a big pump to the upside, consolidation to the downside, bullish flag again, come down halfway again. But right here, August, going into right. This whole, I mean, I'm on the monthly time frame right now, so basically we pumped right out after August. Right here was August. Right after July, August pumped to the upside. This was brought us up to all-time high in the last bull market. And then before that, August, right here, before breaking out to the upside. So I'm not saying that it's a coincidence. I'm not saying that means that we're going to pump to the upside, but we are in a big bull flag, very similar to all these other ones. And we are going into August. And not only that, but how many months left do we have on the 12-month time frame? We probably got until the rest of the end of the year, but usually the big moves on the last pump of every bull market cycle. I can only go so far back on Femex here, but they usually happen right after or during August. So we are in that time frame for all those reasons. I'm looking at potential breakout here to the upside. And if we look at this from that perspective, I mean, it is a giant bull flag, and we are trending perfectly in the flag. We haven't come back down to retest the 112 yet. It's still possible that we could. Still possible that we could, but we just haven't yet. That would bring us right to here. We also had we got some news, I think, today coming out on crypto. Sometimes it's funny because sometimes when there's positive news, we do see a dump in the market. John says XRP bumped up with a W and looks like it's retesting. Should one go long? Let me look at it. But what time frame are you on? Michael Loom Note Taker says the Loom Note Taker was denied recording permission, so this meeting will not be recorded. The meetings are recorded, guys. They are uploaded into the Zoom. I don't think Michael typed that. I think the Loom Note Taker typed it, but just so you know, I always record and they always get loaded to the private Facebook group. All right, so let's look at XRP. We got some other ones happening here. Don't see much happening. This depends on what time frame you're on, but I mean, to me, I mean, it could be looked at a couple ways. We did break below a major upward trending support line here on XRP, and we have retested it underneath. We're also consolidating in a sideways pattern right in a consolidation zone or area above the $3 range, which is positive. Let me put this line up a little higher, right to about here. We have resistance, support, support. I think we're still correlating with Bitcoin on this, and we could still see big pumps to the upside. This was a 20% drop on XRP from $3.67 all the way back down to $3, $2.98, something like that. So that is normal, a big normal consolidation and pullback. I don't really suspect having another 20% pullback after that. Usually that's what happens before we have another big move to the upside. Anything is possible, however, but with the exception of some kind of catastrophe happening, which you never know in this day and age. We have catastrophes happening. All over the world. We got tsunami warnings, we got earthquakes happening. We have one in Tennessee in addition to the one in Russia creating tsunamis. All of these things affect the markets in some way, usually on a smaller level, because they usually pass relatively quickly. But even Trump announcing something positive about the crypto market sometimes has a negative effect right when he's saying it, but then the market recovers very quickly afterwards. I think that it's just people taking profits when they think things are about to pump. I'm not really sure why that always happens, but it's usually the opposite of what you think is going to happens sometimes on these announcements. So today at 2 or today already, I think Trump already announced something about crypto and the Genius Act and things like that. I missed it. I didn't see it. So if anybody saw it, feel free to comment.
Isn't it FOMC meeting today too?
There is something, yes. I just don't know what it is. You know what it is?
FOMC and rate decision at 11 PST.
Yeah, so 2 p.m. Eastern time. We won't be on the call then because, the basics call starting at 2, and I have a urgent meeting I got to get to before then, but we won't be on that long. But what I will suggest you guys do is that if you're not in a trade, I'm already long on Bitcoin right now, and I'm still waiting for it to come back. But if you're not in a trade, I would wait for after the announcements, because usually what we have is something called whipsaw action, and that is usually something like this. This could be going sideways, and we'll have a huge boom, boom, and then right back to where it was. And you don't want to get whipsawed around, and you don't want to get your stop loss hit or something hit in this little movement. It could be, like this where we're going up, and then all of a sudden the announcement comes out and we got a bam, bam, real quick up and down, and then we just go right back into the same track that we were in. That's called whipsaw. Happens all the time whenever there's announcements, and it takes a lot of people out, liquidates people, gets their stop losses hit, and there's no reason to even be in it during that moment. It's like if you knew an earthquake was coming, or you knew there was going to be some big accident that happens, just wait till after it's over before you put yourself in the middle of the action. But a lot of people want to anticipate what's going to happen, and they want to get in on, they think that it's going to pump, so they want to set themselves up to be in the trade already before a news announcement happens. But they do that without even knowing which direction it will go from the announcement. So for me, I think it's always safer just to stay out of the markets during those times. Just wait for the dust to settle and then make a decision at that point. I've never seen an announcement, good or bad, that caused the market to just go parabolic in one direction or the other and never come back. Never seen that happen. The biggest announcement I've ever seen that caused the market to move the most was Elon Musk, when he announced that he was like, first he announced that this was like a few years ago. He announced that he was going to accept Bitcoin as a form of payment for Tesla or something like that. And the market like pumped like 20% in that day, like a ridiculous amount. And then there was a time like later where he decided that he was not going to take Bitcoin anymore, or he was going to sell his Bitcoin because it was too much energy consumption on the economy, something, or on the environment, something like that. And the market plummeted like 20% just based on what he said. I've seen that. Obviously, we've seen that happen before, but I've never seen it like from Trump or anybody else where the market really just goes crazy in one direction or the other based on an announcement. It's usually like some kind of whipsaw action. It goes right back to where it was. Even when Michael Saylor announces he's buying, 10,000 Bitcoin or something ridiculous, the market pumps up a little bit like this. It might do one of these where it just goes bum, 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 and then it just comes right back down. People are like, why is that? Why is it someone can buy $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and it doesn't keep going? And I can only say that that's people taking profit. I can only say that the equal amount has to be sold in order for that to happen. Doesn't make sense otherwise. Let me go back to Bitcoin. So, and basically my theory is that we are still in a bull flag. If we look at it this way, this is the current situation. We are coming down and retesting the halfway point. As I mentioned before, usually that is before a breakout on a bull flag. We usually retest the halfway point before the breakout. That doesn't mean that we won't come down to the bottom here. It just means that if this is the time for a breakout, I wouldn't be surprised seeing that we are testing the halfway point and we have not come down to the bottom. We hit it once here and we came back. We hit it again here. It looks like we've come almost back to the top. It seems like it's trying. And this is, to me, an obvious break. Now, if I was in a long position from way down here, and I rode this all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, I might take profits up here at this level. Some, but I would also be ready and anticipating a breakout. And I think that if we do break out of this bull flag here, we could see a run up to the 128, 129 range. And if we go back and look at, like I mentioned, every other bull flag prior, we hit the halfway point before the breakout. Over and over and over again, just like this one here, even on the falling wedge. Even on this falling wedge, we hit the halfway point before the breakout. And then if we go even further back, this was when we hit 73K and we went into this long trending bullish flag for 8 months. We hit the halfway point, double bottomed on it before the breakout. Halfway point, breakout, halfway point, breakout, halfway point, breakout. We are right now bouncing on the halfway point of the most recent bull flag. After the breakout, the only thing we didn't do yet is come down and retest the 112, which is a little concerning because usually we have done that. Back here, we came down and retested 74.5, which was the previous resistance. Down here, we came down and retested 49 or 48K, which was the previous resistance. Even down here, I believe. We came to the halfway point once again. But we did retest the previous resistance before the breakout. So usually that's what happens. Resistance, breakout, bull flag, hit the previous resistance as support before the breakout. We did it here too. over and over and over again. I can find examples of that is what usually happens before a breakout. I'm just giving you these examples here, guys. So if you look right here, when we came down right before this breakout right here, we popped up, came all the way down to there, and that was previous resistance. We retested it first before the breakout. We retested it first before the breakout. We retested this first before the breakout. This one, we did come down and retest something here too. Let's just look at it right there. Bam, before the breakout. We did come down halfway first before the breakout, but right before that, we hit 98K, which was previous resistance. So we didn't do that yet here, but we did wick all the way down to 114.7 here, which was low, but it wasn't quite as. John, I'm gonna mute you out, but so with that being said, it's possible that we was consolidate in this flag here for a little while longer, maybe even come down and touch this 112 first before breaking out. But if we do break out, we are going into August, and historically August is breakout time. If we go back and look at all these other times when we broke out, as I mentioned on the monthly time frame, they are all in August. Coincidentally, August 2021, right before the breakout. August 2020, right before the breakout. August 2023, right before breakout. August 2024, right before breakout. Very interesting. And right now we are in July, getting ready to go into August. So you got, I just look at all these things. I'm not saying one of these things is a deal maker or breaker. I'm just saying when you add them all together, it's pretty interesting. Chad, you got anything you wanna add? I know you got some trade setups.
No, not specifically.
Cool. So Michael asked, so now is not necessarily a good time to go long on BTC. Well, you know, you guys know I am already, because for whatever reason, here's the other reason why I was, is because this is probably the most accurate, proper bull flag at the moment. But when I went long, we did not have this happening yet. It was like this. So I had a flag top like this hitting, you know, resistance, 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 and then breakout and then support. And this looked more like this. It was just a little bit more exaggerated of a flag, right? And so if I get rid of this, I thought we had already broke out here and retested. That's why I went long. But then now under, you know, when I manipulate the lines a little bit and I look at this a little differently, it could just be that we did not break out yet, you know, when I do it like that. And that makes sense too. And if I do it like this and I pull this down and I really line this up right on this resistance here, and where we have the most touch points of support, where a couple times we broke below, it's very common. I can show you that on every bull flag like this one here. When you touch the most touch points and you just manipulate it, sometimes we do break below and come back up. And so you got to fine tune it. So in that case, we did not break out yet, and we might just be hitting the middle line right here. And that also makes sense to me. I'm still in it. I'm not closing the position, but I would not say that now, if you're not in a long, would be the best time. I would wait possibly for the breakout. If we see this coming up, right here, getting above this line, well, that would be an indication of a potential breakout, because that has not, out of all of these attempts so far, we have not got above that line and held a support yet, right? And it would make more sense for this to happen after touching the middle line, because that is usually what happens before the breakout almost every single time. If I go down and look at every other bull flag, it's verifiable that we come down and hit that center line first before we break out. Almost every single time. Even the falling wedge, even the downward trending one you know, when we came down and retested 75K, that was at a center line here before breaking out. So with all that being said, I know a lot of you are anxious to get into trades and just, you know, I know you want to make money, but sometimes it's better to sit on your hands and be patient. Otherwise, you're just sitting in an open position, waiting for a move and possibly even negative, like I am at the moment. I'm okay doing that. I told you guys, the only signal that I gave was Bitcoin. If you didn't take it when I gave it, then, and you're not in it right now, let's just look at my last update here. This is when I said it looks like we broke out, because this was the downward trend line and we broke out and retested. We're bouncing on it. It seemed like we were climbing. But you know, when I redid those lines, it looks more like we're still in it, just bouncing on the center line. I would wait for a breakout if you're not already in it. If you're in it, I'm holding my position. As you know, also, you might see from my open positions, guys, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP are all kind of correlated. If I go and look at Ethereum right now, a lot of things look very similar. And XRP is bouncing on the only problem with Ethereum, the only problem is we did break out of an upward trending support line. We hit an all-time high. We broke down below it and retested it and came down, but we never got below this major resistance line at the 3,700 range. And so I still think we're going to have a pump to the upside and break new all-time highs on Ethereum, XRP, and Bitcoin. Now that we've created these other patterns. And then one more thing I'm going to look at and show you guys right here is, let's just go to trading view here and let's look at something else that is happening. Let's go down to the weekly here. We still have bearish divergence. Somebody messaged me privately saying, "Hey, Nico, do we still have bearish divergence?" Yeah, I mean, we do, but I can't understand why. I mean, how long can it go? How long can bearish divergence go? Because we don't really have much to compare it to other than the last time we had bearish divergence, right? So in the stock market, we've seen bearish divergence in the stock market for years before there was a crash. So we can't compare it to that. But here on Bitcoin, we can go back to the very previous bull market, which was in 2021. And we can see we had a high, a higher high, and a higher high. And we had a high, a lower high, and a lower high. So we had bearish divergence, and that was the beginning of the end. That was the bear market. But here, we've had bearish divergence since we hit 73K here. And we had a high, higher high, and a higher high. And since we've had a high, a lower high, and a lower high, that is technically bearish divergence, and we have not changed that. It's still creating lower highs. And usually when that happens, it indicates, it's supposed to indicate that a top is in, but the top wasn't in here, and the top wasn't in here, and the top isn't in here yet that we know of. I mean, it could be here, but you know, as of right now, we can't say that it is because it wasn't here when we had a new top. We only had 2 touch points last time. We had this one right here, which was at 40K, 41K, and then we had this one right here, which was at 68K. Top, lower highs. And then we could not make a higher high here, and that was this lower high, and then we continued down in the bear market. But here we had a top and a higher high, which was 108, right here, 108. And then we came down and came back up and had a even higher high at 123. But a lower high here. So we have 3 touch points this time with 3 higher highs. This one, we only had 2 higher highs. We had a 3rd touch point, but it was a lower high, and that was the beginning of the bear market. So I can't say with accuracy that this means anything because we could have a higher high on the price up to 128. Like I said, we could have another breakout to the upside, and this could just go like this and not even make a higher high. And if that happens, then we would have 3 touch points. The only way I would say that bearish divergence is over and that this is no longer a concern is if this just shot up 150, 160, the price just went up, and then this finally broke. This finally just broke above that line and made a higher high above the 80 mark right here. It would have to get higher than this previous high. Like like we see here, where we come down, and it breaks out. It breaks above and gets higher than this, and then breaks above and gets higher than this. That changes things, obviously. These are lagging indicators, so this is happening up here on the price first, which is causing this. But as you can see, we had that breakout here. We had the higher high here, and we had the breakout to a higher high, and this never got higher than that high. And then we had the breakout to a higher high, but this never got higher than that high. So that's why they call it bearish divergence. But how long can it go? It can keep going and keep going, apparently, because I wouldn't even expected 3 touch points, let alone 4. But if we have 4 and this comes down and goes back up and hits again and goes down and comes back up and hits again, but meanwhile this goes up and hits 130 and then goes up and hits 150, then I won't have an answer as to how far bearish divergence can just keep going. So I don't want to use that as a reason to go short anymore. I did back here when we were in this falling wedge. I was concerned that when we came up and hit a higher high here at 108 and we were still lower here, I was concerned that that might be the top. But now that we pumped up to 123 and I see that we continue with bearish divergence, then there is no telling to how many times we can have these touch points before it finally goes into a bear market. So I'm not even going to mention that anymore, because the upper trending support would need to be broken, which is this one right here. I will tell you that we are hitting the top, and top. We are doing that. But we also have not broke out of the bottom. So we have this upward trending support in this wedge, and we're way at the top right now. But that doesn't mean we're going to go higher than that line, but we could keep hitting it. So in other words, it could look like this. Right now, we're, let's say, at 123. We come down to 117, and then we pop up to 126. We come down and we pop up to 132. You see, we're still hitting that line without going through it, but we keep getting higher and highs. And then maybe, who knows, the end of the year, we finally break this upward trending support, and then that will be the beginning of the bear market. But as of right now, this is the weekly time frame, so there's a lot of time. There's a long time to get below this upward trending support. It's a long time. It would take weeks for that to happen. So could we go sideways for a while? Yeah. Could we go down for a little while? Yeah, like we did here, like we did here, like we did. Well, not here. That was the bear market, but like we did a couple times here, we could go sideways and down and touch that. But I don't think, if we do, I don't think we're going to come lower than 112, to be honest with you. 112 is the only most recent resistance that we haven't hit yet. And I would say it's even more of a zone, kind of like this was back here. When we came down and hit the 74.5 when Chad was calling longs in here, and I was short this whole thing down here. I was thinking that we were going to come down and hit at least 73.8. And somewhere between 73.8 and 68, which was the previous all-time high right here. I was thinking that we would come into this zone, this whole zone somewhere, and dip into it first before breaking out. And so right here we have a zone 2, which is the 108, 109, the previous high, and the 112, which was the most recent high right here. This whole little zone before breaking up to 123. So I think we'd come down and dip into this zone a little bit. But from here, we didn't even touch the top of this last one, and we broke out. So I'm thinking we can come close. And maybe the 114 was it. That one, that wick down right there, maybe that was close enough. To me, I've never seen that be close enough. But I would think we might need to come and actually touch the 112. But it is possible that we're just done with doing that. I don't know. That's crystal ball stuff, guys. All I know is that that would make sense to me if we hit the 112 before breaking out. But we don't necessarily have to hit it right now. We could break out and go back up and retest 123, 124, 125, and then come to 112 before another big move to the upside. So there's all kinds of possible scenarios that could happen there. But yeah, we got a couple things happening. Let's go back to the weekly here and look at stochastic RSI is doing something interesting though. It is being a little bearish here. As you can see on the weekly, we do have a blue line cross over the orange line to the downside, and it is heading straight down. And it was a lower high than this most recent one, which is, I mean, we had it happen here, right? And I did say that if the blue line gets below this dotted line, which is the 80 on the RSI, and the orange line also gets below it, this could mean a big dump to the downside. And we did dump from 70 or whatever it was. We dumped from what was it, 112 all the way down to 97K, which was a big dump. But look, we didn't come all the way down to the bottom. We immediately, the blue line curved back across the orange line and went back up, which does not hardly ever happen, ever, where it goes below the 80 and then comes back up. Normally, when it gets below, when both of these lines get below the 80, it's a big dump down. And the only time it turns back up is before it gets to the 80. So this was unusual. And as you can see, it did happen back here. That was back in 2020, but doesn't happen often. So usually when I look at these things and I say, okay, well, every time we get below the 80, we don't normally pump back up, but we did, and we made a new high, but it's turning back down again now. So what could happen? It could just, the blue line could turn to the upside and go back up again. And this could continue with bearish divergence again, where the blue line goes like this and goes up, and the price goes up to 126, 127, 128, 130, but we don't make a higher high here. Again, just bearish divergent continuing, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything for the price. The price can keep going up, and we can continue to have bearish divergence. The reason why I'm bringing it up and calling it bearish divergence is because historically it did mean something. In the last bull market, it meant a top might be in, and it proved to be true then. But as of right now, it's not proving that the top is in. Let's see, Mark. Mark posted this. Do you have a question about this, Mark? Just that, yeah, I mean, you could draw your lines that way too, and we could be coming into an apex, or we're winding in. There could be a little bit of it could be, I mean, I could have mine looking like that, but then I would also probably also have a line right there. Because although it does look like we do have a lot of touch points getting higher and higher and higher here, we also have some getting lower and lower. So, but yeah, good observation there. Very far away from the Gaussian channel, so we don't have to worry about that. We came down and touched it and bounced out. That's all good. That's positive. We don't even need to go over that. We don't need to talk about that. We are above the ribbons. I mean, we are above it right now. We're bouncing on it. That's good. If we get sucked into that, obviously that's a bearish indicator. Let's look at market cipher. Let's get rid of all this right now and just see what market cipher is telling us. Go with market cipher B. Market cipher on the weekly. We did have a green dot back here, and as you can see, we obviously pumped up already on that. Let's go to the daily. The daily, we do have a red dot right here, and that was yesterday. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything. We could be just going sideways. We can go back and see here, we had a red dot followed by a green dot, red dot followed by a green dot, red dot followed by a green dot on the daily. And every time we had a red dot, somewhere in this zone, this one we had a green dot followed by a red dot. But on the daily, see, this is why sometimes on Market Cipher you can be confused. If you took action on a green, now I would not go long on these dots. I would not go long or short on these dots, guys, unless they are at the top of a wave. So up here, when you see a big wave and it crests over and you see a dot, that's a different story. Down here, when we're below the center line, if you're using Market Cipher and we're at the 0 point here, and you see this big money flow going out, and then the wave crests and turns back, and then you see it green, that is a good indicator to actually go long on. Same with here. You can see the price. You can see what happened as soon as that dot happened. Huge candlestick to the upside. Right when this dot happened, huge candlesticks to the upside. When we're at the top of the wave and it crests, red dot, dip. Top of the wave, red dot, big dump. So in the middle here, nah, stay away. Let's go down to the 1 hour, see what it looks like. On the 1 hour, we have very tight money flow coming in and out. That's sideways action. There is no big money flow out, no big money flow in. And so we're kind of just, you can see these green dot, red dot, very tight on the center line. And all we're doing is going sideways right now. If you want to know exactly what all of these colors mean and, the dots and what they mean, and if you have Market Cipher, you can just simply go to their platform, their website, and learn about it. Don't worry about it if you don't have it. If you don't have Market Cipher, don't even worry about it. If you're not planning on getting it, don't worry about it. But if you have it, or you want to get it and you want to see what it's about, we do have a link in our Discord group, guys, where you can simply go in to the Discord, go to official links, scroll up, and there it is right here, Market Cipher. If you go to Market Cipher, you will see that they have a tutorial basically that explains how these indicators work. It is not required for you to have this to be in this group. It's not, here's a video tutorials. It's not required. I have it. I do look at it every once in a while, but it's pretty interesting. I would say, and the only reason that I even have it in the Discord, guys, as a recommendation is because out of all the things I've seen trading, it is probably the most inclusive. Market Cipher is probably the best indicator bundle because it incorporates almost every indicator that could possibly exist all into one indicator. So if you're going to have an indicator package, that's why I recommend this one, because in my opinion, based on everything else that's on the market, it's probably the best one. But you certainly don't need it to trade. I didn't use it for 20 years. Let's look at XRP while we're at it. XRP doing very similar things to ETH. We already had a 20% pullback. I mean, guys, 20%. That's usually what we have. We hit the high here and we pulled all the way back to here. Look at that, 19.3%. It's usually what we have before breakout to the upside. The only problem with this pullback here is we did break below the upward trending support, or did we? Well, it looks like it. Let me just grab this line, make sure. Touch it to the bottoms of all of these wicks here. Maybe we're back above it. Looks like we got back. We hit the support here. We wicked down to it, came back above it, wicked down to it, came back above it. Maybe we're about to get back above it, which is good news. And we did have resistance and support and resistance on this line here, which is the $3.27 range. So I'm going to draw that over here. I'm going to bring this up here, and that is the apex that I'm going to go by now. At this point, if we have a breakout here, I would say that would mean a possible break to the upside is imminent. I think this would be a nice trade setup right here, guys, that I would say a breakout is imminent on XRP as well. It's either going to be to the upside or obviously back down to the downside, but we are winding into this apex. Let's go to ETH again. I thought ETH was looking interesting because we did have a similar upward trending support that we broke to the downside of and retested. We broke to the downside, retested, came down to this support, climbed back up, did this very similar thing where we had major support, we broke to the downside and retested. So it's done that a few times. Doesn't mean it's going to drop. It just breaks to the downside and then goes sideways and comes back up, breaks to the downside, could just go sideways and come back up. But I think everything is pushing the ceiling. Everything's pushing the ceiling, including Bitcoin. And the breakout to me might be imminent here, guys. I don't think we're done. I don't feel the same way I did a month and a half or 2 months ago. Based on what I'm seeing now and how some of these indicators have just turned, and there's still excitement in the market. There's new changes happening with the tariffs and the crypto related news. And I think we got a few months left. And plus, not only that, with the August indicators on the monthly, that's something that was brought to my attention that I wanted to share with you guys, because it's not really a coincidence when it happens every time, right? So going into August might be the time to be ready for either, it might be the next or the last. I don't know. I can't say that this time is not different than the last time, because there have been lots of things that have been different. You know, me and Chad, I know I used to say, oh, everybody always thinks it's different. Every bull market, people think, oh, but this time is different. And it never is. The charts are the charts. The price action is the price action. It does the same thing over and over again. But this time really could be different. There is a lot of things going on in the world that make this time in Bitcoin's history different, for sure.
The only thing that really stands out to me about it being different this time, and this is, we do feel that way, but and why I share the same sentiments of you is it really could be. We go and looked. I mean, the number one thing that has never failed is the 4-year cycle. Right now on the CME chart, it really only shows us, it only cleanly shows us the 4-year cycle top for 21. But if you get the full price action data, it goes all the way back to 2011, where we run on that 3-year cycle long, 1-year cycle down, 3-year cycle long, 1-year cycle down, ever since crypto started. And that kind of runs in coincidence with the Bitcoin halving cycle, as well as obviously the presidential election. But this is the one thing that there's been zero deviance from this thesis, right? Since the beginning of crypto, right? Now, the only reason I'm willing to say things could be different this time is because of the institutions, right? We have never seen institutional inflows like this. And Manuel shared in the chat today on Discord about how JP Morgan Chase is now building a partnership with Coinbase to team up on basically like one-click transaction / partnership of custodianship. Things like, the regulation we're seeing inside of crypto right now. I mean, this is, this stuff first kind of got introduced into crypto back here about halfway through the cycle. Bitcoin ETFs finally started to make their run up. But where we're at now, as far as institutional inflows versus back here, it's substantially different. It really is. And then we've obviously never seen governmental backing like this before either, whether you're just looking at, the strategic reserve with the United States government on a federal level, but also on a state level. I mean, Arizona was the first to pass legislation to create their own, crypto reserve. And last I checked, there was 18 other states with legislation on the board. And so, I mean, crypto's no longer crypto anymore. You know what I mean? Like, crypto is not crypto anymore. Crypto was created and is, it's meant to be a decentralized peer-to-peer transaction environment. And it was like anti-institution, anti-government. Like, crypto's not crypto anymore. It's different. And so, like, this 1-year down cycle might not happen. It might not happen like it did back here, where we saw, from our highs, this bear market, it was very substantial. I mean, that was almost an 80% drop. right, for a year-long period, right? I mean, what if, we don't have massive correction phases like that anymore because of all these institutional inflows? What if we just have 25, 30% pullbacks like we do here, right? I mean, it's very possible. And then if you stack that on top of simple supply and demand of the availability of crypto, right? These exchanges don't have enough. There's a shortage already, right? It's just, so when you stack all these things on top of each other, like, there is a sound thesis to it could be different this time. And so the reason why I share this with you guys is because as things have developed over the last year and a half, you asked me 6, 7 months ago, I was pretty adamant about, come November, I'm selling all my crypto and I'm rotating into USDT. And I said that with 100% confidence that that's exactly what I was going to do. Do I feel that way today? Not really. Not as strongly. Because it sure as shit would suck to rotate all your crypto into USDT because you think that we're going to run the same cycle. And then in fact, it is different this time. And instead of getting that 80% pullback, we pull back from say 160 down to 120. And that's your bear market right here to here. Does it really make sense to sell and rotate out and then have to get yourself back in? Probably not. And so, I mean, things really could be different. And I think the biggest telltale sign is what happens in November. Do we follow this 4-year cycle? Yes or no? If not, then I think we can say, yes, things are different this time. So that's my 2 cents on that. Especially coming into a place too, when I think we might not, we might not see a rate cut this time, but we're certainly getting squeezed into that where rates are looking to get cut. You stack those two that on top of each other, you really could see that, that thesis of super cycle.
Yeah, and not only that, what Chad was just showing you up here when we talk about the top of this whole thing going all the way back. You see this green line right here where we hit it here, we wicked up to it here, we wicked up to it here, and here we are currently above it. And the bull flag that I've been talking about that we're in right now is above it. Let me just go to a lower time frame and show you that green line is this green line where we hit it, and we went above it, and we are bouncing on it on the top. That is technically a breakthrough of a long running resistance line and holding support right now. Could we wick down to 112? Yeah, we could and come back up. But if we hold above this, we already wick down below it a little bit here at 114. But if we hold above this and break out now, this could be the time when we finally break this long running, resistance level. All right, let's go here. I also read the retail stores that accept PayPal as means of payments will now be able to accept crypto, and PayPal will convert to USD for them for a small fee. Yeah, that's happening. Marla and Super Cycle, question mark. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. We've been hearing about that for bull market after bull market, and we haven't had one really yet. But yeah, I mean, Michael Saylor seems to think so. He seems to think that we're not going to be having these big drawdowns again, and we're just going to continue to go up, 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 and up. He seems to be confident that that's the case, but is he the all-knowing oracle of Bitcoin that he claims to be, is the question. Has he ever been wrong before? Anybody want to answer that question? The answer is yes. Several companies he's been very wrong about. going through his history, but doesn't mean you're wrong this time. I mean, he's betting not only the farm, but everyone's farm on Bitcoin right now. Marlon, so basically it would take a super black swan for a deep pullback going forward, something like a real war or alien invasion. I'm personally not going to say yes to that because we've had bull market and bear market cycles throughout history. I mean, we have, whenever there's inflation or money, let me put it this way. Let's just say that crypto gets adopted everywhere. Let's say we go into a digital currency, and let's just say that they're going to replace the dollar with digital dollars, with stable coins, USDT or USDC or some new one that they're going to come up with, right? Let's just say that happens. Okay, so if they're backing Bitcoin as a reserve against a new digital dollar, then they're going to flood. They're going to flood what are they going to do? Flood the market with USDT or USDC or whatever the new digital dollar is, and create inflation and create. I mean, there still could be interest rates could go through the roof. I mean, there still could be a problem with that. So, and there also could be a problem if they do that and crash the dollar or get rid of the dollar in exchange for digital currency, which it seems like that's what Trump's pushing for here. It does seem like that. It's not necessarily a bad thing, guys. Say again.
I saw a pretty interesting reel about XRP and the meetings that Trump has been meeting with Garlinghouse, and that they're doing like a backroom deal to revalue XRP, and that Brad Garlinghouse basically gifted Trump a bunch of their treasury XRP to offload so that they weren't the main holder. And then when they revalue XRP, the US government will be sitting on like trillions of dollars. And that it's similar to what they did when they revalued gold.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I can't speak to that specifically because I don't know what video it was and who was the publisher of it and whether it's accurate or not. But I've seen a lot of stuff like that. But if they do this, then what
Yeah,
happens to the US
I saw that
dollar?
one too, but it looked like AI.
What happens to the US dollar if this happens? I mean, when all the other countries are using the US dollar and it's no longer on US dollar, and now we have a centralized, globalized digital currency that all countries are going to use. Now, what happens to the US dollar? Do we still have dominance? Do we still have, is it going to be something that Trump, makes sure that it's a US digital currency, that we're still the digital dollar, the digital US dollar is still the number one? There's a lot of unknowns there, guys. But, a lot of people are worried that this is going to happen overnight. They're going to switch this and you're going to wake up and all your money's going to be gone in the bank. And first of all, you have no money in the bank. You just think you do. It's all digital already. So don't panic. Everything that you think you have in the bank is digital. It's just numbers on a screen. If you went into your bank and try to pull out 100,000 cash or $1 million or whatever, they don't have it. They're not going to give it to you. It would take weeks, or maybe you'd have to go to different banks if you want that much cash. They just don't have it. It's already been that way for years. And
Even
10
grand.
A lot of the times they tell you got to order it if it's over a certain amount.
yeah.
Hey, Nico, how would you allocate between Bitcoin and XRP? I do have some other coins. I'm looking to put probably another 50 to 75,000 in. What percent Bitcoin to XRP do you look at?
I mean, I got way more XRP than I have Bitcoin, but
in dollar value or in share?
well, that's the thing, and coin value, because obviously it's a lot less expensive. But You know, if Bitcoin hits $1 million, XRP, if it's hard to say, I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't,
So if you
even
had
if Bitcoin 2x's or 5x's over the coming years, Bitcoin could 10x and go to $1 million, right? But if Bitcoin 10x's and goes to $1 million, XRP could 100x from where it's at right now. You know, so you probably would get a higher ROI on some of these other coins. The problem is which one. So I don't really care too much about all the different shit coins out there, the bonks and you know, and there's so many, there's hundreds of coins. I do have a lot of them, but I'm not accumulating those. I'm mainly focused on Bitcoin, XRP, and Ethereum. Those are my three majors right now. And
what I'm looking to do is take a chunk of money, put it in a trust, and purchase either XRP or Bitcoin and make it a legacy fund for my kids.
there's a lot of positive thing. If Garling House gets even just 14% of the entire global market of Swift financial network, where XRP or Ripple network is actually providing the liquidity and the transaction rate for even just 14% of the entire world's currency, which they say that they already have contracts with most all the world's banks. But let's just say they only get 14%. That would put XRP, if they got the entire 14%, that would put XRP at $1,000. So will that happen? I don't know. If XRP goes to $1,000, shit.
You're buying us all a gift, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean that would change.
I would never
quite a
see
bit.
Nico again. Are you kidding me? See you later, bro. I love you.
I wouldn't just disappear. I mean, you would see me. You would just see me on big yachts in the you know in Monte Carlo or something, and you guys would all be invited. But
And how long would you stay single?
well, I'm already not
You
saying.
could afford as many wives as you wanted at that point.
We won't discuss that scene. We're being recorded.
You don't need to be that rich to be single. But I'm not single right now, so I think I'll bring her with me. She's a keeper. But
Nice.
but yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's hard to say. It's hard to say what's going to happen, but there's a lot of positive things around both Bitcoin and XRP, but for different reasons. Bitcoin's probably not going to be a currency, although there will be many people that will accept it as currency because the more valuable it gets, the more people want it, and they will take it from you if you in exchange for something that they have that you want. Cars, boats, houses, things like that, you can already use Bitcoin for. There's people in Miami selling houses all the time, and in their ads, on the actual realtor signs in the front yard, it says Bitcoin accepted. I mean, I see this all the time now. This is very popular. If you can go to the Rolls-Royce dealership in St. Petersburg, Florida, or the Ferrari dealership right up the road from my house here in Tampa Bay area, and they accept Bitcoin for exotic cars.
So what are the threats? What are the threats to XRP as far as competition in that space?
I really don't know of anything else that is in their category. You know, you hear about HBAR and XLM and all these other ones that are the ISO 20222, whatever it is, 20022 certified coins, and they will all probably rise in value along with XRP. But what purpose those other ones are serving that XRP can't solve, I don't know, to be honest with you. I have them just in case. I really don't know. I think when I started accumulating those, we were concerned about a government digital dollar, the CBDC, where they're going to control the money supply and also have the control over it and be able to turn it on and turn it off and all that stuff. And I still invested in it just in case that happened, you know, because I don't want that.
I think XLM is more person to person as opposed to bank like XRP, and HBAR is supposed to have to do with AI once AI gets going.
Yeah. Coinbase, yeah. Business Wire is saying Coinbase, JP Morgan Chase and Coinbase launched strategic partnership to make buying crypto easier. Chase Bank, guys, is one of the few right now that not only do they have they are partners in a Bitcoin ETF, but they also will be starting an XRP ETF, maybe an Ethereum ETF, and that's all coming. And Chase is in bed with Coinbase. They have been for a while. That's why you don't have a problem buying crypto on Coinbase if you're using your Chase Bank account, debit cards, or checking account. You don't have a problem. But if you try to use crypto.com or any of these other platforms where you can buy crypto with your Chase account, they might block it. They might tell you that they don't allow it. Not because they don't like crypto, but because they don't like the platform you're buying from, and they don't have a partnership with them. They don't benefit in any way from them. They don't mind you buying it from Coinbase.
Hey, speaking of Coinbase, I don't know if anybody watches the Sean Ryan Show podcast. Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, was on there. It's pretty interesting. Check it out.
Cool. Thanks, Pat. Yeah, I mean, I personally use Coinbase. I have been using them for like 10 years now since they existed. I have no problems with them. I know a lot of people seem to have problems with them. I've never had any problems with them. But, do I recommend you keeping all of your crypto on Coinbase? No. I mean, technically speaking, not your keys, not your crypto, as the old saying goes. They are a centralized bank for crypto, which means they can block you from accessing it. If you do something wrong, or you violate their terms of service, or you use a wallet to make a deposit or withdraw from a wallet to a wallet that is been deemed scammy or fishy or fraudulent. And this has happened to people unknowingly, where they actually tried to withdraw from Coinbase to a scam wallet. And the reason why they're doing it is not because they're trying to scam anybody. It's because they're being scammed by somebody, and they're trying to send crypto to that person, that scammer. And once you do it, Coinbase flags your account as being involved in some kind of fraud. And so you could literally be blocked from Coinbase just because you're being scammed by somebody, because Coinbase is very protective to make sure that the scammers are not getting into Coinbase through you. See what I'm saying? So, and then you have to go and prove that, the situation before they let you back in. But the point is that they have the control to do that. Just like, technically speaking, you could have tens of thousands of dollars in Chase Bank or Wells Fargo, and you could all of a sudden your ATM's not working, or your debit card's not working. You call them up and they say, "Yeah, I'm sorry, we blocked that." Or you go to the bank to withdraw money and they say, "Sorry, your account's frozen." I don't know if that's ever happened to any of you on here, but it has happened to people, and they have the power to do it because they're the ones in control of the bank, not you. You're just trusting them to keep your money there. And same with Coinbase, you're trusting them. But, as far as people to trust, Coinbase is a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange, is one of the largest platforms trading crypto platforms in the world. And I mean, if you can't trust them, who are you going to trust? Now, the only other thing is your own private wallet. So I do use them because I have to get money from the real world, banks and other institutions, into crypto first before I can move it to trading accounts or send it or wherever I got to do with it. So I do use them as kind of like the intermediary, so to speak. And if I ever need to take crypto back out of the crypto world and convert it back to US dollars, they are good at doing that. I mean, you would just send it into Coinbase, sell it to USD, and transfer it to your bank, and it's there instantly. I've never had a problem doing it. Am I being tracked through them? Are they keeping track of my transactions? Yes. Am I aware of that? Yes. Am I going to worry about that? No, I don't care. I don't care. I have, a team of accountants and CPAs. I'm already at that level where I have to do all that shit. And I'm playing by the rules because I don't want any problems with any governmental agency, especially being in the niche that we're in. Obviously, we have a teaching program here where we teach people crypto. That's a business. I have real estate, which is obviously public, using LLCs and corporations and all kinds of stuff in order to conduct business. You got to play by the bank's rules in order to do all this stuff. Right? Now, as an individual, as an investor, you take some money from your bank, put it into Coinbase, let's just say, or Cash App, and you send it to a trading platform like Phemex, and you turn that into $1 million worth of crypto. Nobody knows you have that at that point. You can make that disappear. I'm not suggesting you do it. I'm not giving you advice. I'm just saying you can send that from Phemex to a private cold storage wallet, and no one will know you have it. That is obviously the best position to be in if you're trying to be private and keep your affairs, away from prying eyes or governmental agencies. And so all that can be done, but I'm not advising anybody to do anything illegal or not report. I do know this, Trump fired like 25,000 IRS agents. He's trying to abolish the IRS. I don't know if you're aware of this, but he's literally trying to abolish the income tax. Not necessarily the IRS, but the income tax. A lot of states are now jumping on that bandwagon and making it tax-free states to encourage investors and people to move to that state. I think Missouri is the most recent one. Missouri just declared that if you move to or live in Missouri, you will not pay income tax. Not state tax, income tax. So it's happening, guys. We are moving in that direction. People are fed up with it, right? And so as far as taxes go, income tax is the one that's the problem. I don't mind, gas tax and things like that to help pave roads, but that's not where your money goes to when you're paying income tax. You don't even know where your money's going to. It doesn't even make sense why they would even need our money if they're printing billions out of thin air, right? But other than to make you think that that's where the money's going, is to create, programs and services to.
Well, Trump just came through with in the big bill that manufacturers, if you buy a building, it's 100% depreciable the first year, and you still get to write off your interest, which is huge.
I'm in the process of doing that right now in my apartment buildings. So I'm all for that. It's kind of been that way for a long time, where you can do cost segregation and depreciation and things like that. But what you just said is new, 100% in the first year. But yeah, I mean, that's all great. And I think we're heading in the right direction. People are becoming aware. But until it goes away, some people are like, screw it, I'm not paying taxes. I'm just gonna do whatever I want. I don't think they're gonna do anything about it. And you could be right. They might not. I know people who haven't paid taxes in 10, 15 years. And they don't seem to care. And they live in $1 million condos on the beach and drive Mercedes. They don't seem to care. And the reason why is because the IRS just doesn't even know you exist unless you tell them. They got to know that you owe them money. That's why they're wanting you to volunteer the information by filing a return. As soon as you file a return, now they know. Now they're going to want their handout. But if no one is filing on your behalf, meaning a W-2 job or 1099 employer, if no one's filing that you made money or that they paid you money, then the IRS doesn't know you made it until you tell them. That's just the way it is. Doesn't matter what anybody says. They have no idea what you have, what you made. If you sell your motorcycle out of your garage, they do not know. If you go and do some work for somebody and cut down a tree and they pay you $10,000, they don't know. No one's reporting that. So they want you to volunteer. I'm not saying anything to do anything shady. I'm just telling you how it works. They don't know shit until you tell them. And if you go multiple years without filing income tax, and then you file out of the blue for, let's say you don't pay for 5 years straight, and then you file for 1 year, they're going to want to know what happened to you for the last 5 years. They're like, well, we don't see that you reported any taxes for the previous 5 years. But the only reason that was even brought to their attention is because you filed for the current year. Had you not done that, they wouldn't have asked you anything about the previous 5 years. So the point is that a lot of people are just, as the old saying goes, you are, anything you say can and will be used against you. That's just the way it goes in this world. So, however, if you're doing business publicly, you have corporations and business bank accounts, and you have business lines of credit, and you're getting loans and refinancing things, you do got to play their game. They want to see your tax returns. They want to see that you can afford to pay the loan. They want to see that you filed your tax returns. So you got to do all that. So I don't have a problem doing it. I've been doing that my whole life. So the goal now is to lower your tax liability as much as legally possible by using structures and entities and things like that, real estate and other ways to limit your tax liability. And I use tax strategists and CPAs to do all that stuff. And they're liable. They have $1 million guarantees. $1 million, they'll go to court for me if they're wrong. So I'm relying on them to make sure that they're doing things above board and by the book. But with all that being said, I mean, you can certainly make a lot of things disappear if you really want to. But
Yeah,
just so,
I hate it when my customer comes in and wants to pay cash.
I'm sure.
That was my favorite way to get paid. I can always just keep it.
Do you accept cash? Are you kidding me? Of course.
Yeah. Someone asked Nico, can you share the name of your tax strategist? I will. DM me and I'll send it to you. I'm putting together like a share information package. I just want to talk to him first to make sure that where he wants me to send people. But yeah, I will share that. But DM it. I'm not just gonna say it publicly right here. I'll just DM me and I'll get you guys information on it. Doesn't mean there isn't anybody better out there, but you know, because there's a lot of people out there that are tax strategists, and just be careful of the ones that are advertising on Facebook and stuff that want to take you to a 3-day event or a course to teach you first, and they want to charge you $5,000 just to show you what they can do for you. You know, don't fall for all that stuff. And there's a lot of new tax strategists coming about that started their own tax agencies, and they are just marketers. All they do is promise that they can do all this stuff, and as soon as you hire them, they turn you over to some CPA or accountant or tax strategist to do the actual tax work for you. And they're getting a piece of the action by selling you the dream. You want to work with real tax professionals. You don't want to pay a middleman just to refer you to somebody. But you know, usually, guys, it just requires you to structure yourself properly with the use of entities and corporations and C corporations and trust and things like that. Once you're all set up properly, there might be a little bit of expense up front to do that, but I'm telling you, it's a lot less than the tax consequence if you don't. My tax strategist told me that he will be selling me $100 bills for $10. So you can read between the lines. In other words, you know, I'll buy $100 bills for $10 all day long. All right, all right. It's almost 1:30. I do have a call. I do have to cut this one a little short. Normally I go till 2:00, but we do have the onboarding. I'm sorry, the basics call today at 2:00. So those of you who are relatively new, you definitely want to get on basics call with Bill. And but let me just go back one more time and just recap this real quick. BTC is in a bull flag. The bull flag is when it does break out, brings us to this level of the 128, 129 range. And that is on the table. We are above the overall upward trending resistance. And this goes back like this right here, guys, is 108K. That's 109K. We go back further all the way to 2021. $68, 65K, 68K, 108K. We're above that right now. We're above it. We did hit it, by the way. We did hit it. We pretty much hit it right here at 112. And then we broke above it, and now we're above it. Are we going to come back down and retest 112, or are we going to stay above this green line? Right now we're above it, and we are also retesting the center line of the bear flag, which is usually what happens before a breakout. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm still long at the moment. I'm also, if you guys want to know, I am long on XRP. I'm long on Ethereum. I'm long on Bitcoin and USDT and Bitcoin margin. Not much. And here's another little trick that I tell people. I've already mentioned this a million times, but I got 30,000 contracts, 35,000 contracts, 13,000 contracts, 4,000 contracts, but my margin is $1,500, $1,800, $900, $380. Not much until we actually do what I want it to do. If it breaks out here and starts to get above this and holds as support, I will increase my contracts and probably my leverage a little bit, but definitely it will increase my contracts. Maybe not the leverage. Leverage is already high, 19, 19, 14, 12. But that doesn't mean that right now or when I got in was the best entry. Obviously, I am negative a little bit on all of these, but I don't worry about that because I'm expecting my outcome. But if we do come down below the center line and we actually come down and retest this green line, if we break that green line and come back down below it, then I would expect that we would bounce on the 112. I would just re-enter. I will close the trade and re-enter down here on that bounce, and that would be the best entry. But is it possible that if we put this in a certain area here, is it possible that that happens? Yeah, of course, everything is. We could do this. Boom, right there. And still be inside this channel, depending on where you draw this line, right? That's not where I have it though. I have it up here. And I think we might stay above the center line for now. So we will see. We're going into August. We got one more day of this month. So I don't really expect a huge drop to the downside, to be honest with you. But if we do, the one thing that would make sense is retesting this 112. But it doesn't mean we have to do it before a pump. We could do it after. Previous times we come down and retest resistance before the big breakout. About every time. But there is a time, I'll go back and show you when we didn't. And that was 30K right here. We broke out of 30K, which was major resistance that we were in for a long time. And that resistance goes even back to the previous bull and bear market back here. You can see down back here. Goes back even further to all the way back here and all the way back here in 2020. When we came up, we hit it, support, 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 went all the way up to all-time high, 64K, came down and bounced on it, support, 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 came all the way back up, 68K, came all the way back down, hit it, resistance, 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 dropped in the bear market, I mean, all the way down to 15.5, started to climb back out in this bull market, hit it, 30K, resistance, 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 and then boom, breakout. And we never, ever retested 30K to this day. So if we do have a big dump or a war or a zombie apocalypse, this would be where I think we might have come down to. But we never, that's the only time that I know of that we never came back and retested major resistance as support before the breakout. We just kept climbing since then. All right, guys, any other last minute questions here? Norman says, I can't see your screen, but I was sharing it. Hopefully everybody else could see it. Daryl asks, is there a example of how to take partial profits? Yep. So I'm in a trade right now. Let's just say I was profitable. I would come over here to market on the open positions down here. Come all the way to the end to market. Click on market and I can, it's already set to 100%. If I click close long, it would close the whole trade out. But I can slide this to, 75%, 50%, 20%, 25%, any percentage I want. So if I was up, let's just say I was up $1,000, I could take half of it off the table. I could take 25%. I could take 75%. I could take any percentage of it by doing that. Let me know if that helps. Also, guys, there is something right here, margin, right in the margin section. If you go to the little pencil, you can also add margin and remove margin I wouldn't do this unless you know what you're doing and you're going to add, I would add contracts instead over here. If I want to add to this long right here that I'm on Bitcoin, I would just go over here and add more contracts by just hitting the long button. It's going to change my 30,000 contracts to, let's say 35,700 if that's what I was adding. Get on the basics call with Bill coming up in 30 minutes, guys. If you have any more questions like that or basic questions. Things are moving really slow this week, as you guys can tell. Bitcoin is just snail crawling right now. We're going sideways a little bit, but I think a breakout is imminent. I will be keeping you guys posted when I see it. And for those of you who are kind of new or within the last month or so, there hasn't been as many signals from me because of where we're at in the market. Don't be concerned. I mean, on the way up, I was giving multiple signals per day because the volatility was crazy, 1 to 5% every day up and down. Right now, when we get in these, we hit a top and we go consolidate into a bear flag or a bull flag. It's very tight moves. It's very sideways until the breakout. This is a trade setup. That's when you sit on your hands and wait for the breakout. Don't worry about, scalping now. If you know what you're doing, you can go and get into multiple different coins. You'll see people in the wins wall posting all kinds of stuff. Wins every day, 100% here, 300% here, because they know how to get in and get out. So they're over there looking for volatile cryptos. I'm teaching you on Bitcoin. I'm showing you XRP and Ethereum, but I'm teaching you on the major Bitcoin, and it is the slow one right now. It is kind of it's the tide that rises all boats. It is the big major one, and it doesn't have as big of moves as it used to. But once you understand support resistance and you know how to go long, go short, by all means, you can go play around with any of these other cryptos and get multiple triple-digit gains every day if you want to. You just got to learn what you're doing first. And if you're gonna go learn on those without knowing what you're doing, just make sure you're playing with small amounts of money and small leverage until you get it, until you're consistently profitable. All right, guys, get on the basics calls. I highly recommend that. And if you're brand new, make sure you go into the school area and watch those recordings. I know some of you might have watched them already, but watch them again. Repetition is the key to understanding this stuff. When you see things over and over again and just keep getting on these live calls over and over and over again, the light bulb goes on. It starts to click. You start to understand. It's just like if you were sitting with someone who speaks Spanish or speaks French. If you hear them say the same thing over and over again, and you keep asking, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? Before you know it, you'll know what it means and you'll know how to say it. Bottom line, that's how simple things get over time. So you just got to keep immersing yourself in this. Keep tuning in, keep showing up, and it will get easier and easier and easier. All right. All right, guys, have a great rest of your afternoon. And by the way, I know I mentioned this on one of the live calls before. If anybody wants to be interviewed for a testimonial, let me know. Send me a DM. I did get a few from you, and I appreciate that. Looking for members who have had some good results and who have had some winning trades, who have learned something, who have gotten past their limiting beliefs or their roadblocks, whatever it is. Don't discredit yourself or think you don't have a really good testimonial. If you had a breakthrough, let me know. I would love to interview you. And also, if you referred anybody to Crypto Renegades, another thing I wanted to show you guys. You guys need to get a referral affiliate link. If you refer anybody to us, because I've had a couple people reach out and say, hey, I referred somebody to you. They joined, just want to let you know. But they didn't have a referral link, and that's okay. I'll still try to do what I can to verify everything and give you credit. But if you just go into our school, I'll show you where it's at. You go into the school platform, Crypto Renegades School, right? Come up here to classrooms. Come down here to affiliate program. Click here to register for the affiliate program and get yourself a referral link. That way, if you ever have someone who's interested and you send them this link and they sign up through this link, it will automatically let us know they were referred by you. And that way we don't have to wonder or play.
Hey, Nico, at one time that was broken and folks were not getting their referral links. Has that been corrected? Because I've been telling people to go directly to Chad after they fill out the form for the link itself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then do that too. Get on basics call, follow Bill's advice. I'm just looking at this right now. I would do this, go through this whole thing, and then let Chad know that you registered for it.
Thank
so
you.
That you can make sure that that's 20% commission for every referral you make, depending on what how they join. Some people pay full, you know, the full pay, some people pay the payment plan or if they pay the payment plan, you don't get 20% every month that they pay. It's just the 1,500. It's just the upfront fee. Because that's just the way it is. So refer them and get a commission if you want to. You don't have to. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. Have a great rest of your day. And I will keep tuned in, by the way, to the Discord and to the chat and the signals channels, because if I see anything change on these charts on any crypto that I'm following right now, I will let you guys know, and I will give updates throughout the day. But I do think a breakout is imminent. I think we are like right on the verge, especially going into August. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. If you have any questions that you didn't get answered on this call, ask it in the main chat or send a DM or ask in the help desk. All right.